Emma Roberts sat at her small kitchen table in her tiny Manchester flat. The phone bill lay in front of her, and she stared at the numbers with tired eyes. At 28 years old. Her life felt like she was watching the same boring movie every single day. Every morning was exactly the same. The alarm would ring at 7. She would get dressed in her plain office clothes. Then she would walk to the bus stop in the cold morning air. The bus ride took 30 minutes to reach the tall grey building where she worked. Her job was simple but dull. She sat at a desk all day, typing emails and answering phone calls about insurance claims. When lunchtime came, Emma would eat her sandwich alone at her desk while other people chatted and laughed together. She had tried to join conversations before, but somehow she never felt like she belonged. After work, she would take the same bus home. Then she would heat up a ready meal from the supermarket and watch television until bedtime. This had been her life for 12 long years, ever since everything changed. Emma used to have big dreams when she was younger. She wanted to become a primary school teacher. She loved the idea of helping children learn to read and write. She imagined herself in a bright classroom, surrounded by curious young faces asking questions. She could see herself reading story books aloud and watching their eyes light up with wonder. But those dreams died on a rainy Tuesday night when Emma was just 16 years old. Her parents, David and Margaret Roberts, were driving home from visiting her grandmother. A drunk driver ran a red light and crashed into their car. Both her parents died instantly. Emma was left completely alone. She had no brothers or sisters, no aunts or uncles who could take care of her. The government put her in a foster home until she turned 18. Then she was on her own. She had to forget about university and teacher training. Instead, she got the first job she could find to pay for her food and rent. Survival became more important than dreams. Years passed by like pages in a book she never wanted to read. Now, 12 years later, Emma felt stuck in the same routine. She had a small flat, enough money for her basic needs, but no real happiness. She often wondered what her parents would think of her life now. Would they be disappointed that she gave up on teaching? Would they understand that she had no choice? This particular evening, the autumn rain was tapping against her window like tiny fingers asking to come inside. Emma had just put a curry-ready meal in the microwave when her phone started ringing. The sound made her jump because she rarely got phone calls. She looked at the screen and saw an unknown number. Her first thought was that it must be someone trying to sell her something she did not need. Insurance companies and mobile phone sellers called all the time. She almost let it ring until the answering machine picked up. But something made her change her mind. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was just that any conversation would be better than eating dinner. Alone in silence again, Emma picked up the phone and said hello in a quiet voice. Is this Emma Roberts? The person on the other end sounded nervous and scared. It was definitely a young woman, probably much younger than Emma. Double quotes, yes. This is Emma. Who is calling, please? There was a pause, and Emma could hear the caller taking a deep breath before speaking again. My name is Lucy Thompson. I know this is going to sound completely crazy, and you probably think I am making a mistake, but I think you might be my sister. Emma was so shocked that her fork fell out of her hand and clattered onto the kitchen floor. Her heart suddenly started beating so fast that she could hear it in her ears. I am sorry. What did you just say? Emma asked, thinking she must have heard wrong. I was adopted when I was just a baby, Lucy explained. Her words came out very fast, as if she was afraid Emma might hang up if she spoke too slowly. I finally got my adoption records from the government last week. The papers say that my birth parents were named David and Margaret Roberts. They show that these same parents had another daughter called Emma, who was born in 1995. That would make you 28 years old now. Is that you?" Emma felt like she could not breathe properly. Her parents had never told her about another child. There had never been any mention of a baby sister, but as she thought about it more carefully, she remembered something strange. Every year on March 15th, her mother would become very sad and quiet. She would cry softly when she thought Emma was not looking, but she never explained why that date made her so upset. "I do not understand any of this," Emma whispered into the phone. "Please do not hang up," Lucy said quickly. "Can we meet somewhere? I have been looking for my real family for such a long time. You might be the only family I have left in the whole world." Emma closed her eyes and felt tears starting to form. This phone call was about to change everything in her quiet, lonely life. The next morning, Emma sat at her office desk, but she could not think about work at all. Her mind kept going back to the phone call from the night before, every few minutes. She would stop typing and stare out the window, wondering if Lucy Thompson was really her sister. Emma had never heard her parents mention another child, but the more she thought about it, the more small memories came back to her. She remembered finding her mother crying quietly in the kitchen sometimes. When Emma asked what was wrong, her mother would just say she was thinking about old times. There was also a small wooden box in her parents' bedroom that they never let Emma open. They said it contained private family things. During her lunch break, Emma called Lucy back. They agreed to meet at a small cafe called Rosie's in the town center. The cafe was always busy with students and office workers, so it felt like a safe place for two strangers to meet. Emma left work early that day, telling her boss she had a dentist appointment. She walked slowly to the cafe, feeling more nervous with every step. What if this was all a mistake? What if Lucy was lying or confused? What if she really did have a sister, but they had nothing in common? She arrived at Rosie's cafe 15 minutes early. The place smelled like fresh coffee and chocolate cake. Emma chose a table near the window where she could see people walking in. Her hands were shaking so much that she could barely hold her cup of tea properly. Emma realized she had no idea what Lucy looked like. They had not thought to describe themselves to each other on the phone. Emma kept looking at every young woman who walked through the door, wondering if each one might be her sister. Then, at exactly 3 o'clock, a young woman with dark brown hair came through the cafe door. She looked round nervously, biting her bottom lip. Emma felt a strange feeling in her stomach, like she was looking in a mirror from the past. The young woman had the same green eyes as Emma. She had the same way of pushing her hair behind her ear when she was worried. Even the way she walked reminded Emma of how her mother used to move. Their eyes met across the busy cafe. Both women stopped moving for a moment, just staring at each other. "Emma," the young woman asked in a soft voice. Emma stood up from her chair, her heart beating very fast. "Lucy." They looked at each other for several seconds, not knowing what to do next. Should they shake hands like business people? Should they hug like family? Emma was not sure if Lucy was really her sister or just a stranger who looked similar. Lucy looked younger than Emma, probably about 22 years old. She was wearing an old university sweatshirt that had seen better days. Her backpack was stuffed full of heavy books, and Emma could see papers sticking out of the top. Lucy looked tired, like someone who worked very hard and did not get enough sleep. They sat down at Emma's table. For a minute, neither of them knew what to say. "I cannot believe this is actually happening," Lucy finally said. Her voice was full of strong emotions. "My whole life, I always felt like something important was missing. like there was a piece of me somewhere else in the world. Emma studied Lucy's face more carefully. The similarity was incredible. They had the same nose, the same eyebrows, even the same small scar on their chin from falling down as children. "Can you show me the adoption papers?" Emma asked. Lucy carefully pulled some official documents out of her backpack. The papers looked old and had been folded many times. Emma could see government stamps and signatures all over them. "Look here," Lucy said, pointing to a section near the top. "It says that David and Margaret Roberts had to give up their baby daughter in 1999 because they did not have enough money to take care of two children. The baby was born on March 15th. 1999. Emma felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. March 15th. That was the date that made her mother cry every single year. "Oh my God," Emma whispered. "March 15th was always the saddest day of the year for my mom. She would lock herself in her bedroom and cry for hours. When I asked her why, she would just say she was remembering something painful from the past." Lucy's eyes filled with tears. "Do you think she was thinking about me?" Emma nodded, feeling tears starting in her own eyes too. "She must have been. Every year on your birthday, she was probably wondering where you were and if you were okay." Both women started crying right there in the middle of the busy cafe. Other customers looked over at them with curiosity, but Emma did not care what anyone thought. "They never forgot about you," Emma said through her tears. "They loved you so much, but they just could not afford to keep you. They probably thought about you every single day." Lucy reached across the table and took Emma's hand. "I spent my whole childhood wondering if my real family ever thought about me. Now, I know they did. For the first time in 12 years, since her parents died, Emma felt like she was not completely alone in the world anymore. She had found family again." Over the next few weeks, Emma and Lucy met almost every day after Emma finished work. They would sit in cafes, walk through the city parks, or just talk for hours in Emma's small flat. With each conversation, they discovered more amazing similarities. Between them, both sisters loved watching old black and white movies from the 1940s and 1950s. Emma had always thought this was strange because most people her age preferred modern films with lots of action and special effects. But Lucy felt exactly the same way about the old romantic comedies and dramas. They also found out that they both had the same nervous habit. When either of them was thinking hard about something, they would pick up a pen and draw tiny flowers on whatever paper was nearby. Emma had done this since she was a child, covering the edges of school notebooks with little daisies and roses. Lucy did exactly the same thing during her university lectures. Most surprisingly, they both had what their adoptive parents had called a stubborn streak. When Emma or Lucy decided something was right, they would not give up easily. Emma realized this must have come from their father, David Roberts. She remembered how he would spend hours trying to fix broken things around the house, refusing to throw anything away until he had tried every possible solution. The weeks passed. Lucy told Emma more about her life story. Her adoptive parents, John and Sarah Thompson, had been wonderful people who loved her very much. They gave her a happy childhood with birthday parties, family holidays, and help with homework every night. But when Lucy was 18 years old and just starting university, both John and Sarah died in a terrible accident. A gas leak in their house caused an explosion while Lucy was away at her first week of classes. She came home to find her whole life had changed forever. "I had no other family," Lucy explained as they sat on a bench in the park one sunny afternoon. "The Thompsons were only children, so there were no aunts or uncles or cousins to help me. I was completely alone, just like you were when your parents died. Since that day, Lucy had been working 3 different part-time jobs to pay for her university fees and living expenses. She worked in a coffee shop early in the morning before classes, in the afternoons. She cleaned offices in the city centre on weekends. She helped at a local grocery store, stocking shelves and working at the cash register. I am studying social work because I want to help other adopted children, Lucy said. I know exactly what it feels like to wonder where you really come from. I want to help kids find their birth families, or at least understand their history better. Emma felt incredibly proud when she heard about Lucy's dreams and goals. Her little sister was working so hard to build a good life while also wanting to help other people. But as the weeks went by, Emma started to notice some worrying things about Lucy. Lucy looked much thinner than she should for a healthy young woman. Her clothes were old and worn, with small holes and faded colors. Her shoes had tape holding the soles together. Most concerning of all, Lucy often seemed tired and weak, especially late in the day. One evening, as they shared a pizza at Emma's flat, Emma decided to ask some difficult questions. Lucy, are you eating enough food every day? Emma asked in a gentle voice. Lucy looked embarrassed and would not meet Emma's eyes. I eat plenty. Do not worry about me. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Just some toast. And lunch? I was busy with classes. I had an apple. Emma felt worried. What about yesterday? And the day before that? Lucy shifted uncomfortably on the sofa. University is very expensive, she said quietly. The fees, rent, for my tiny room, textbooks that cost hundreds of pounds each. I have to be careful with money. What do you mean by careful? Sometimes I skip meals. It is not a big deal. Lots of students do it. Emma's heart felt like it was breaking. Here was this incredible young woman with big dreams and a kind heart, who was literally starving herself to get an education so she could help other people. That night, after Lucy went home to her small rented room, Emma sat at her kitchen table and looked at her bank statements. For 2 years, she had been putting aside £20 every week to save for a car. It was not a huge amount of money, but she now had over £2,000 in her savings account. Emma thought about her own life. Every day was exactly the same boring routine. Work, home, television, sleep. She had no real friends, no excitement, no purpose. Her job paid enough for her basic needs, but it did not make her happy or give her any sense of meaning. Then she thought about Lucy's bright dreams and incredible determination. Lucy wanted to make the world better for other people, even while she was struggling so much herself. Maybe this was Emma's chance to finally do something important with her life. Maybe helping Lucy achieve her dreams was exactly what Emma needed to find her own purpose and happiness. The next morning, Emma made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. The next morning, Emma called Lucy and asked her to meet at the usual cafe. Emma had spent the whole night thinking about her decision, and she felt more determined than ever. When Lucy arrived, she looked tired as always. She ordered just a cup of tea, probably to save money, while Emma got coffee and 2 pieces of cake. I have something important to tell you, Emma said, pushing 1 piece of cake toward Lucy. Lucy looked curious, but also worried. What is it? Emma took a deep breath and looked directly into her sister's green eyes. I want to help you finish university. Lucy was taking a sip of tea when Emma said this, and she nearly choked on her drink. She started coughing and had to put her cup down quickly. What did you just say? Lucy asked when she could speak again. I want to pay for your university fees, Emma repeated, and your rent, and your food, and your books, everything you need. Lucy's face went pale. Emma, no. Absolutely not. I cannot take your money like that. You are not taking anything, Emma said firmly. This is family helping family. This is what sisters do for each other. Emma pulled her bank statement out of her handbag and showed it to Lucy. Look, I have been saving money for 2 years. I have enough to cover your tuition fees for this year, and probably next year too. Lucy stared at the numbers on the paper, her eyes getting bigger and bigger. This is all your savings, Emma. You are saving this money to buy a car. I do not need a car as much as you need to finish your education. Lucy's eyes filled with tears. But why would you do this for me? We have only known each other for a few weeks. You barely know anything about me. Emma reached across the table and took Lucy's hands in hers. I am doing this because you're my sister. Because you have incredible dreams that are worth supporting, and because Emma paused, trying to find the right words. Because I think helping you might help me find my own purpose in life too. Lucy looked confused. What do you mean? Emma had been thinking about this all night. And now she was ready to share her plan. I have been stuck in the same boring job. For 12 years, every day is exactly the same. And I feel like my life has no real meaning. But watching you work so hard to help other people has inspired me. Inspired you to do what? I want to quit my office job and train to become a counselor. Emma said, I want to specialize in helping families find each other again. Just like we found each other. Lucy's mouth fell open. You want to change your whole career? Yes. I want to help people who have lost touch with their families. I want to help adopted children find their birth parents. I want to help brothers and sisters who got separated find each other again. Emma's voice got more excited as she talked. Think about it, Lucy. You could help adopted children with their emotional needs, and I could help them with the practical side of finding their families. Lucy was quiet for a long moment. Thinking about what Emma had said, we could work together. Someday, she said slowly. Exactly. We could open our own center. You would be the social worker helping people deal with their feelings about adoption. I would be the counselor helping them actually find their lost family members. Lucy reached across the table and grabbed Emma's hand tightly. Are you completely sure about this? You would be giving up a steady job with regular money. Emma looked into her sister's eyes and felt more certain than she had ever felt about anything in her entire life. I have never been more sure of anything. The next few months were the most challenging and exciting time in both sisters' lives. Emma gave her boss 2 weeks' notice at the insurance company. Some of her co-workers thought she was crazy to leave a secure job. But Emma felt free for the first time in years. She enrolled in evening classes to train as a family counselor. The coursework was difficult because she had not studied anything new for many years, but she loved every minute of it. Lucy was able to quit 2 of her 3 part-time jobs because Emma was helping with her expenses. Now she only worked at the coffee shop on weekend mornings, which gave her much more time to focus on her social work studies for the first time since she was 18. Lucy was eating 3 proper meals every day. She gained some healthy weight and had energy to concentrate better in her classes. Her grades improved dramatically. The sisters supported each other through all the difficult moments. When Emma felt scared about changing careers, Lucy would remind her about all the families they would be able to help. When Lucy felt stressed about her final exams, Emma would sit with her for hours, helping her practice presentations and review case studies. Emma realized that for the first time since her parents died 16 years ago, she felt like she truly belonged somewhere. She had not just found a sister, but she had found a partner in making the world a better place. Both women were building new lives filled with purpose and hope. 2 years later, Emma stood at the very back of the large university hall, trying to see over the heads of hundreds of other people. She was wearing her best dress and had arrived an hour early to make sure she got a good spot too. Watched the graduation ceremony. The hall was filled with proud families holding flowers and cameras. Emma felt a bit out of place among all the parents and grandparents, but she was more excited than she had ever been in her life. Finally, she heard the announcer call out the name she had been waiting for, Lucy Thompson. Bachelor of Social Work, first-class honors. Emma watched her sister walk confidently across the big stage in her black graduation gown and cap. Lucy looked so different from the thin, worried young woman Emma had met in the cafe 2 years ago. Now Lucy looked healthy and strong and proud of what she had accomplished. When Lucy reached the university principal, she shook his hand and received her diploma. Then she turned toward the audience and held her certificate high in the air, Lucy's. Eyes searched the crowd until she found Emma standing at the back. Lucy pointed directly at her sister and gave her the biggest smile Emma had ever seen. Emma felt happy tears rolling down her cheeks. She was so proud of Lucy for working so hard and never giving up on her dreams. Even when things were really difficult, Emma was also proud of herself. She was just 3 months away from finishing her own counseling certification program. The classes had been challenging, especially since she had not studied anything academic for so many years. But she had discovered that she really loved learning about psychology and family relationships. Even more importantly, Emma had already started helping real families while she was still training. Under the supervision of her teachers, she had successfully helped 3 different families reconnect with relatives they had lost touch with years ago. The first case was a man who had been looking for his older brother for 15 years. Emma spent weeks researching old records and making phone calls. When she finally found the brother living in Scotland, both men cried with joy during their first phone conversation. The second case was an elderly woman who wanted to find her daughter before she died. The daughter had been adopted as a baby 40 years earlier. Emma worked with adoption agencies and government offices for months. When mother and daughter finally met, they spent hours just holding hands and talking about all the years they had missed. The third case was twin sisters who had been separated when they were 5 years old after their parents divorced. Each sister had spent 30 years wondering what happened to the other. Emma found them both living in the same city, just 10 miles apart. Without knowing it, each time Emma successfully reunited a family, she felt like her heart grew a little bigger. She finally understood what it meant to have a job that gave her real purpose and meaning. After the graduation ceremony ended, Lucy ran through the crowd still wearing her cap and gown. She threw her arms round Emma and hugged her so tightly that Emma could barely breathe. "We did it," Lucy said, laughing and crying at the same time. "We both actually did it." Emma hugged her sister back just as tightly. "I am so proud of you. You worked harder than anyone I know. I could not have done any of this without you," Lucy said. "You saved my life." "Emma, you saved mine too," Emma replied. "You gave me a reason to finally start living instead of just surviving." They walked together to a nearby restaurant to celebrate Lucy's graduation. Over dinner, they talked about what would happen next. "Do you remember our dream about opening our own family reconnection center?" Lucy asked, her eyes bright with excitement. "Of course I remember. Do you think we are really ready for that?" "I have been looking at buildings we could rent," Lucy said. "There's a perfect small office space in the city center. It has 2 separate rooms. So you could have your counseling office, and I could have a meeting room for my support groups." Emma felt excited butterflies in her stomach. "What would we call our business?" Lucy grinned. "I was thinking Thompson and Roberts Family Services. What do you think?" "I think that sounds absolutely perfect." 6 months later, Emma and Lucy stood in front of their own building with a shiny new sign that read Thompson and Roberts Family Services. Emma worked as a certified family counselor, specializing in helping people find lost relatives. Lucy ran support groups for adopted children and adults who were dealing with questions about their identity and family history. They worked side by side every day, helping other people discover the same incredible joy and sense of belonging that they had found when they found each other. One quiet evening, they were getting ready to close the office when Emma's phone rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number. Emma looked at Lucy and smiled before answering the call. "Hello, this is Emma Roberts from Thompson and Roberts Family Services." "Oh, thank goodness," said a nervous male voice. "I saw your website online. I think I might have a brother I have never met, and I do not know how to find him." Emma sat down at a desk and picked up a pen. "You have come to the right place. Please tell me your story. My sister and I are here to help you." As Emma listened to another person beginning their search for a lost family, she thought about her own unexpected phone call that had changed everything 2 years ago. Back then, she had been so lonely and lost. Now she had found her purpose, her sister, and her joy in helping others find their own missing pieces. The end.